Back in August, I made a video on a SpongeBob video that I thought was lost, but I just couldn't find it somehow, and I'll admit I'm a bit embarrassed for how quickly and easily somebody else found it, but hey, at least it was found, and it wasn't much of a mystery. However, I've been thinking about some other old videos that I haven't seen in a long time that I tried looking for, and this time I'm more for sure that they are actually lost. And since this isn't SpongeBob related, it won't attract a bunch of weirdos here and it will get less attention, but hey, at least it'll have some attention and maybe we can get some validation in searching around for, or just at the very least confirmation that others remember it. And yeah, I mean, it's not SpongeBob, but they do all coincidentally follow a similar theme, as you'll see. Anyway, let's just quickly get to the first video I want to talk about. Now, this was a top 10 or 11 or 12 list or whatever, it was around that number, and it was about creepy toys. Now, this was very off the time. I saw this back in 2011, but that's just like the cutoff date of when it could have been uploaded. It was most likely earlier, it was probably like 09 or 2010 when this was uploaded, and in there they talked about various different toys that are of course creepy, and you know, it was very of the time. It wasn't very well researched or anything like that, you could tell. I mean, there was some interesting stuff in it, but you can tell a lot of it was just, you know, like surface level looking into stuff, and a lot was probably very like personal experience stuff, and hey, at least it had a modest charm to it, and yeah, some of the entries I remember being on there, it was very sporadic and kind of random. Some of them were kind of similar, but as you'll get into, there were some outliers. But I believe there was a weird-looking Michael Jackson doll in there, if I'm remembering correctly. It might have been this one that I'm showing on screen, and yeah, you can tell it's very off the time. You're like, ugh, Michael Jackson, and yeah, there were also like 17th or 18th century dolls in there, and again, like, it was kind of like a bit of an outlier of everything else that was there, and there might have been like maybe an atomic set or something, like something to that degree that just caused like a lot of injuries or accidents. But if I remember correctly, I think the number one spot was a Japanese pregnancy doll, and I don't know for certain if it's the one that I'm showing on screen, but it was pretty similar to it, and I didn't even know until getting this that this doll was from the 19th century, which to me is what really makes it like disturbing and upsetting. I have a phobia for stuff that's like pre-20th century, and my friends really like to tease me about it. But anyway, all of that was on there, but the biggest outlier in the part that I remember most specifically from this is one of the numbers was Furbies, and when they presented it, it was just like Furbies, and it showed it in a screen like this, and then it moved on. And yeah, again, as you can tell, it's a very like random and personal video. Like, there was a bit of like a humorous undertone to it, like don't take it too seriously, but it was also like kind of real and had some interesting stuff in it. It probably isn't a very good video looking back on it in hindsight, of course, but as you can like get a sense of what I'm talking about, it did at least have like a sincere tone to it, like very personal, very modest, like the start of like top 10 lists before they became like totally generic and soulless and just there to fucking shove crap out. It's like, at least it has that going for it. But despite all of that, the thing that I remember the most from it, and the thing that like everybody in the comment section talked about when this video was around, and by the way, this video and the next one, they weren't obscure when they were like up. Like, I'm pretty sure that they had like a pretty good amount of views to them. But anyway, the thing that everybody pointed out in the comment section for this video was the music. I don't know where it came from, but it was really disturbing music that really made the video. It was like generic, like old-fashioned, like circus or playtime music, like stuff that you hear from like a Jack in the Box, and not the funny restaurant man, but like the old toy, the Jack in the Box, like that kind of shit. It wasn't Pop Goes the Weasel, but it was something that, you know, you associate with that kind of stuff, and it was that, but there was just something about that sounded really fucked up and distorted, and again, it's what super made the video in its tone, and I don't know what the music was or if it was made for that or anything. Anyway, moving on to this next video, it has a similar theme where it's like funny, creepy, but this one will probably be more upsetting to people since I can actually show stuff on screen for it. And what it was is, it was a compilation of cartoon characters in a real life style. And I remember a lot of these, however, I could only find images for a few of the ones that I know for sure were on this video. And I'll be showing Bart Simpson here, and yeah, this video was kind of weird though because of the way it was edited. It was a bunch of these, but playing in the background was like parade music is the best I can describe it. Very dynamic parade music. And it was very specifically and professionally, you can almost call it, edited for the time it was uploaded. This is another one that was probably made around like 2008 or 2009 more likely. I believe I first saw this in 2010. And yeah, it was just images like these, and they were all like sliding around and being presented very dynamically and flying at the screen. So if there weren't sound effects, it's just music, but that's how they're all appearing on the screen. And again, it was like a parade showcase almost. And the title of the video, I remember, it was kind of weird too. Like, it was very specific again. Like, I believe it had like the name of somebody or something, and it was like showcase, like it was all like one specific thing that like made all of these renders, and it was showing all of them off, all of these monstrosities. And characters I remember being on there, of course, what you see on screen, the Bart and stupid as Timmy Turner, but I remember there was also Hans Moleman, and Homer was probably there. This might be a different video I'm thinking of, but I think the Brain from Pinky and the Brain, though, might have been on there, because I remember a comment saying that real life Brain gave them a boner, but again, that could have been a different video. But the one that I remember the most that just stood out was that it had Flippy and Flicky from Happy Tree Friends, and I tried looking for them, and upon doing that, I found the original images I remember, and they were actually from a video on this channel that you see here that I'm not going to mispronounce. Anyway, this channel had a video from there from 2009, which was similar to the upload date that I expect this Lost video to be from. And the way that the video was edited on there, it was very reminiscent of the one that I'm trying to describe to you. Like, it was that same kind of like weird style to it, oddly weird style. This channel still uploads today, but it's just a bunch of random stuff. It's not really related to that, but I do see that they had newer, like, real-life cartoon character renders made later on. But yeah, that's interesting. I feel like it most likely came from here, but again, I'm not sure. I just simply can't find it, but I'm wondering if anybody else remembers this video and knows what I'm talking about. Okay, let's move on to one that I know for sure, just really quickly before wrapping this up, that I know is definitely lost. It's gone, it got removed or private or something, because I announced it when this first happened, and this used to be on my favorites playlist, the Wilford's Favorite Experience. Go check that out, by the way, wink wink. But it was the Wiggles, or specifically the 4 creepiest minutes of children's television, or just television in general, I think it is, of the Wiggles puppets. By the way, the original video with that 4 minutes title is also gone, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, this was one of the many remixes, like Scary Finger stuff that you could find for these. They were very popular around the late 2000s. 2010 again is when I watch all of these. The screenshot I'm showing you right now is the Wiggles Live from Hell, which is another really popular and good one. It was kind of like the sister to that one, but my favorite back then was the Acid remix, I believe it was called, and the thumbnail was blue with like one of their faces like widen out and warp affecting, and the thumbnail I made for this video is reminiscent of that, where I just took this one and made it blue, which looks nice, by the way. But yeah, I announced when this was removed from the favorites. It's not a big deal, though. I guess this is the video I care about the least, since I wasn't sure which one it was in the first place anyway. And related to that, this is one that's probably a lot more recent, and something that I never see myself, but I just heard from one of my friends, is that apparently there was a video that was one of those like 10 hours of this noise, and what was this? It was Electric Zoo themed, and apparently this one was infamous because around The middle of the video, the 4-hour mark or so, it just randomly cut off all the sound and went to a still image of the smile dog for a few minutes and then resumed again. And yeah, very funny. I've heard people have been making more shit like that in general. Anyway, we can end this on a still creepy theme, but much more nice and positive note, because not only is this stuff a lot more recent and maybe a bit more better made, but I was originally preparing myself to talk about this being an entire channel that was lost. However, when I started doing this video and looking it up, I saw it returned, and this was stuff that I talked about in the past before. Firstly, it was when it was new, and my Lavender Town my Wet Dry World is the new Lavender Town video. And I talked about both that and that video because it was relevant at the end of my classic Sonic Iceberg Explained series. These are not plugins, but the favorites playlist was. Anyway, I mentioned this because I talked about in the very last entry there about Tails not being real because of personalized copies, blah blah blah. But in there, I mentioned the channel and how the videos are missing and how the only remnants of it left were screenshots that I took for the Wet Dry World video that I was reusing for the Iceberg video. And I was going to talk about that channel and the content in it. But I recently saw that all the videos came back. It was of the every copy is personalized height stuff, so it's the kind of stuff that I like, and here's the channel name right here. And yeah, they made anti-piracy stuff, but before the Mario Party DS stuff came along and oversaturated and unfortunately made the trend kind of low quality and shit. But this came before that, and they're good videos. The Sonic R1s are my favorite and really good. And there was a GoldenEye one that had a lot of realism to it. There's some other ones though that are purposely overdone and tongue-in-cheek funny. So it's a nice mix. It's a very self-aware, nice channel. And I don't know why it was gone originally. I just hope it wasn't for controversial or scummy reasons, which is happening a dime a dozen now. But anyway, that's a nice note to end on either way, but that's the video, and let me know if any of you know about these other videos I talked about. If you can find them, or at the very least, know that they're real. Thank you.